because it's leading into explanation in the future. So obviously, you do not need to concern yourself with those items. So just try your best to make sure you understand everything that we're going over tonight, especially about singular and plurals and the highlights of this chapter. So by the time we get finished going over reviewing the chapter tonight, going through the questions, the exercises, it should be very clear to you whether or not there's something you don't understand, and most of that then would simply be the necessity for you to go back and review. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go over vocabulary with you, and some of these words you've already got down, others you don't. Make sure that you understand that most of these words you're going to use over and over again. It's not that difficult. Really what we're going to do is we're going to focus in on the memorization of the singular, and what you will see within the singular, primarily, it's just all the roots, like dod, sus, sir. And those are three-letter roots. Chokav for star is an exception to that. And then we're going to take those, and of course, ra for bad is an exception to that. We're going to take these words, and then we're going to keep building on them, the various different forms. And tonight, all we're going to be doing is building on, once again, the plural forms of these masculine nouns and adjectives. So what we're going to do is we're going to be treating, once again, the different gender. So masculine gets treated one way, and then as you've already seen, because you've already reviewed this, feminine gets treated in another way. So we go through this and we look at dod for uncle, and then the plural form is the addition of the herek yod mim, dodim. Dod, dodim. Herek yod mim makes a difference. And you'll see that herek yod mim, by and large, in every one of these. Goy is an exception because of the yod at the end. You don't have to really understand why it's an exception right now. You can learn it later. Right now, remember, if you're going to learn something in a language, you're going to have to repeat what you did when you learned the English language, and by and large, what you did when you learned the English language, and how to read especially. Not so much how to speak, but clearly how to read. Remember what you did. You had to have a vocabulary, and then you had to get definitions. You had to learn how to spell it because you went to school and you did a spelling bee. That is the way that your brain has been trained to learn. And so therefore, if you're going to learn a language, you've got to go through that same program. It's going to be the same type of a cycle. You're going to go into these words. You're going to learn how to say them and pronounce them correctly. And it's going to be pretty close. And then you're going to have to go through exercises in which it's the same as you did in first grade, second grade. You wrote the word out 20 times or so, and you really learned how to spell it by sight, some by phonetics, a combination of both. And then you had a spelling bee, and you got graded on that. And so Mansour has set things up in a very similar way for you. It's organized in the same way. You can't just somehow think that you can skip over that because for one reason or the other, you didn't have time, and then ultimately learn this language. You're not going to do it. It's just like in the beginning, I told you that it was essential for you to take all the alphabet and for you to write it out 20 times each day so that you could get it. And you don't have to do that for the rest of your life, but you definitely need to come back and reinforce that once a month. And then, of course, when you get to this point, now you're utilizing those letters. So it's not necessary that you go back and you write out, the alphabet 20 times a day, because now you're utilizing them. Okay? So once again, going from a singular to a plural, you want to be able to write these out. And so if you're going to do that, you're going to have to remember, if I'm going to go from a singular to the plural, I'm going to have, first of all, I got to recognize, is this masculine or feminine? And so there's rules that are teaching you how to recognize the feminine that are primarily consistent rules, and to recognize then, of course, if it's not feminine in its form, which we'll talk about here in a minute, it's going to be masculine by default. And then how then to write in the plural form, just like you learn how to write in our way of doing things in English, you just add an S to make it plural, whether it's masculine or feminine. It's not the same, of course, with Hebrew. You're going to add a herek yod mem, okay? And it's going to go from dod to dodim. Same way with sus to susim. Same way with shir, which is song, very important word, said over and over again, to shirim, from nation, goy, to goyim. Star, which is a K sound, kokav, with then a hard guttural sound, kokav, to kokavim. Once again, just a herek yod mem. Tov, which is a word that everybody has down by now, good, to tovim. Ra, which of course opposite of good, bad, to ra'im. Then beautiful, yofi, or yofe, which is a little bit difference in the pronunciation of the gamets, okay, to yafim. Gadol, which everybody should have down by now, which is great, to gadolim. Katan, for small or little, to katanim. And then old beings as opposed to old things, zakin to zekenim. So to get a little bit, zakin to ze, go to from a gametz in this particular instance, as well, to a schwa. So it begins to reduce that long sound to zakenim. So practice those till you get them. Do, dodim, sus, susim, shir, sharim, goy, goyim, kokav, kokavim, till you get a little bit faster with it. So go on up here, and don't go too far. Go down some, because I want to show some differences, some distinctions. Go on down a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, so let's look at dod. Dod being uncle. Now let's look at the feminine. If we've encountered the feminine form, once again, we've already learned that the feminine form is based upon the gametz and the hay. And when you have the gametz and hay, by and large, most of the time, there are a few exceptions, but by and large, when you have the gametz and you have the hay, then that, at the end of the word, then that means it's feminine. So do you see? Look at how we build on this. Doda, or a dod, to doda, okay? And now we've gone from making a word and its root being masculine to making that root now feminine. And now we're going to pluralize aunt, going from uncle, dod, to doda, aunt. And now we're going to now make it plural, and it's going to be a little bit different. It's simply going to have the holam vav with a tav at the end of it. Holam vav tav. So pretty, you can, little bit of sound of poetry here. Holam vav to a tav, and it's going to go from doda to dodot, from toda to todot. That's all you've got to do in making a feminine noun or adjective plural. And remember, we're learning how to spell these things, and so we want to pay attention to things that are very consistent. You see, basically, when this happens, and you go and you add the ot or the holam vav tav ending, especially the holam vav, you're going to lose this gametz down here, because you can't have, a double vowel. If you didn't, you're going to lose the gametz, and you're going to lose the hay. Just put it that way. You're going to lose the gametz and hay. You're going to lose what made it feminine. It went from the masculine, dalet, holam vav dalet, to dalet, holam vav dalet, gametz hay. Well, you're just going to lose the gametz hay, and you're going to add the holam vav tav. And of course, if you somehow were to, add in this gametz, if you forgot this, and you're adding in the gametz, and it was daleth, holam vav, daleth, gametz, holam vav, you'd be breaking a fundamental rule. You can't have two vowels right together in the Hebrew language. So that's all you've really got to remember to get your spelling right. You're going to be losing, especially at the end of these words. You'll see that very consistently. Wherever you had created a gametz hey to take it from a masculine to a feminine, it's going to be lost. Once again, Holam Vav Tav is going to be added. So you'll see the same thing now with horse, sus to susa, which is mare, female horse. Once again, just the adding of the gametz hey. And now we're going to drop the gametz hey, and it's going to be susot, susot. Okay? Now we're going to go and we're going to look at menorah. We don't have the masculine form of it up here because there isn't one. Menorah being lampstand or candlestick, and it already has on the menorah the gametz hey. Once again, you're going to drop that gametz hey. Even though that you might think fundamentally that makes the word, still you're going to drop the gametz hey, and you're going to add the ot, so it's menorot, 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 menorot. Okay, from menorah to menorot. Okay, and then blessing, the simple form of blessing. Do we have it up here? Barach. Okay, we do not have it up here, but it's without the gametz hey. Now it's going to go to the feminine form, beracha, beracha. Okay, and it's if you're having troubles with the gutturals, going ha, okay, just make it a strong ch or form, baracha, and then work towards the ha, okay, baracha, and then once again you're just going to drop the gametz hey, add the holam vav tav, and it's going to go to berachot. And then this is how it's going to appear in the feminine form, and you're going to really be holding these again and again in the scripture. In fact, our verse of scripture that we're supposed to learn how to speak very rapidly at the end of this chapter is going to highlight these masculine and feminine endings that you're learning here and that you've learned up to this point. So we'll get there here just a little bit. The next one, it's mitzvah, and that actually comes from another word. And do we have it up here? Zava, for command. But here it is, mitzvah, feminine form of command, as it were, mitzvah, and or commandment, rather, mitzvah. And then, once again, all you do is drop the gametz hey, and now you're in mitzvot. Those first vowels, you'll notice they're not even changing because those vowels are not being interrupted. The way that the word is being pronounced is not being interrupted by making some suffix changes. When you make prefix changes and suffix changes, you're changing the syllables, you're changing the way then that it's being pronounced, and so the vowels shift around. Right here, we don't have any need for vowels to shift around, except for, once again, right there at the very end, and that would be that same rule that I referred to earlier. You can't have a double vowel there, so it's going to go from mitzvah, drop the gametz hey, and now you're going to have mitzvot, okay? And so everything else is the same. Now we're going to go on to para. Great word, cow, okay? Para, and then para, same rule, goes to parot. And then animal is bahima, and same thing is going to happen, bahimot. And you can see that the vowels that are not being disrupted, once again, those vowels that are not being disrupted by the ending, like the gametz hey, it's not going to change when you make it plural form. Very important to just try to keep that in mind, and especially with the here in these feminine constructs. And then if you roll this up for me just a little bit, going up. Okay, good. And so then, because I don't think there's any, well, there are some. I'm sorry, there are some probably. Yeah. So you could stop there. So let's just go. I'll just go through kingdom real quick. Mamlacha and mamlachot. And then we see tov, which would be the way that it would appear as in a native form. Let me say that. the feminine form then is just, once again, gametz hey. You say, well, how am I going to know that that's a masculine? Because it doesn't have a gametz hey. Now, there are exceptions to those rules, and we're going to give you the few exceptions that don't really have any other logical way to grasp it. And then we're going to also give you later on rules that allow you to understand when something would be feminine versus masculine, and there is no other way there's no indication of it. But that'll come later. So, but right now it's just really simple. Get this down because you're going to have few more complicated things later. So it's tov and it's tova, okay? And then once again, same rule, tovot, to make it a feminine. There you have ra as the masculine, ra'ah, feminine. Same rules, we're just repeating the same thing. It's totally redundant, but nonetheless, redundance is the best way to learn. And then it's ra'ot. And you see nothing changing about these words in terms of the vowels, once again, unless the plural ending is affecting it. Then you got yofe or yofa, beautiful, yofa, instead of yofe, instead of yofe, yofi, sorry, yofi. It looks like yofe, it's yofi. And it's a way that if you go into Israel, among some people, it's a different alternative from saying, oh, that's cool, or saying cool, or good, or nice. You say yofi. It means beautiful, but it kind of has a modern day equivalence of just going, yofi. So instead of cool or neat. So that's a word that you could actually incorporate into your everyday vocabulary so you don't forget it. So then, same thing, yafot, riyafot. Gadala, so we went from gadol, we added the gametz hey, and now we got godala. Very important because, when you're writing these out, you're learning to write, and you want to talk about the boy being great. Well, then if the boy's going to be great, then it's going to be gadol. But if the girl is going to be great, it's going to be godola, because your adjective and your noun has to agree. So just because you know the difference between bin for boy and bat for girl doesn't mean then that you're going to be safe in writing out a sentence. You need to know how to take bin, banim, make it plural, and then add the appropriate adjective with the correct plural form, either masculine or feminine. So then we have katan, which is small or little, to make it feminine for small, little. Once again, you've got it. Just add the gametz hey. There's some changes now that are taking place with respect to the way that the vowels are. And for now, you're just going to have to memorize them, how the shift of the accent is moving towards the end of the word. And so now it's just going to be katana and katanot. Don't worry about why at this juncture. Just memorize it, okay? And in your writing at this point in time, don't worry so much about the vowels. Just make sure that you're writing out the consonants. And so when you're at your exercises at the end of the page, I already told you, you could lay out your vocabulary right alongside the exercises, but get to the point where you don't need to have your vocabulary laying there with your exercises to write things out. Get to the point where you can remove your vocabulary out of the way, and you can do a translation from English to Hebrew. It's not that difficult. Don't worry about the vowels when you're doing it. Remember, modern day Hebrew doesn't have vowels. However, I want you to learn it with the vowels because you're not learning all the semantic and linguistic rules for modern Hebrew. This is biblical Hebrew, and all of our biblical Hebrew, we're going to be dependent upon vowels. But at this juncture, you don't have to really concern yourself with them. So then as time goes on, you're going to get real comfortable. Oh, I know what that is. These problems that you're having right now with, well, should it be a gametz or should it be a pata? It's going to go away with use. The issue of, a gametz being dropped and a schwa being added. Once again, you'll catch on. So just make it simple. Just, if you're going to spell, for example, zakin, then just spell it, with with the consonants. Zayin, Kaf, Nun. Okay? Just make sure that you get understand your final Nun. You know, Gadol, don't worry about the gammets, even though it'd be really easy to memorize that one, okay? Just go Gimel, Dalet, Holam, Vav, Lamed. Or you could even just, you're going to be okay if you just went Gimel, Dalet, Vav, Lamed. But obviously, at this particular word, you can really sound this out phonetically. And then once again, the more that you do a spelling bee with yourself and you write these things out, you memorize them and you write them out, the more you're going to get good at phonetics. And so you can go Gadol, and you're going to now hear those sounds. You're going to hear the ga, the g, the da, God. You're going to hear the ga, the G-A, Gada, D, the D sound, Gadol, the O sound, whether you, and then of course memorizing whether it's a Holam Vav or just a Holam, and then the Lamed. You're not, you know, there are some words obviously that's tough. You know, there's a couple of words there that have basically the same sound, like the Sin and the Samek, and the Tav and the Dalet. Forgive me, not the Tav and the Dalet, but the Tav and the Tet. And those are going to be challenging sometimes, but, you know, those will come along. Just, once again, practice this. So where were we at? Oh, yeah. So go on up for me just a little bit. Did I do Katan? I did Katan. There we go. So it's Ketana to Ketanot. Ketanot. And then we've got Zair. We don't have Zair up here. I don't think it was in the masculine area. But Zaira, adding the gammets. Hey. So if it's a young boy, it's going to have Zair. If it's a young girl, it's going to have Zaira. And then, of course, to make that plural, same rules, Zairot. Okay, Zair, E. You've already learned that. Remember, I told somebody the other day, they were having problems with phonetics. I said, listen, I taught you a song so that you could learn all the phonetics. So don't give all this time to learning Psalms 136 and then forgetting it. Okay, you spend all this time memorizing it, learning it. Now all you need to do is, you know, sing it once a week. I mean, it's a great praise song. Why wouldn't you want to be singing this praise song of Psalms 136:1? Holdu Adonai ki tov, ki le'olam hasto. If you understand, then I'm getting the majority of all of my phonetics out of that. Holdu le'adonai, and you know, ha'adonim. Just go through the whole thing, okay? And you'll sing the song. Hadul Adonai ki tov, ki le'olam hasto. Okay? If you'll do it over and over again, what's going to happen is that you're never going to forget that song. And then when you see a Herek Yod, you're going to remember ki tov, ki, E, the E sound, like K-E-Y. The Herek Yod always having that E sound. Hodu. You're going to understand. You're going to remember what is the Holam Vav sound, the O sound, Hodu. You're going to remember Hasdu, the Shuruk sound, the U sound, the O sound from the U sound. So repeat that over and again. It's going to help you. Okay, next. Okay, so now once again we're looking at some more nouns with adjectives. And now we're just going to bring them together. And so we're going to look at a black horse, and we're going to see Susim, and of course this Shakor, you've already memorized Shakor because it was already in a previous exercise. Shakor meaning black. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add the plural. Susim, Sukorim. And if it were going to be black mare, then you're going to work with that, and you're going to see that it's Susot, Shakorot, Shushim, Shakorim, Shushot, Shukorot. So you just keep practicing. I know there's a sounds there that we don't use normally. You just got to keep practicing it. Then we do it with the trees. Etzim, these are going to be small trees. Ketanim. Okay, just taking and putting together those things that you learn. Remember, in Hebrew, we put the noun before the adjective. So it's horses black. It's trees small. And it's a little bit difficult for us English speakers. Most of the rest of the languages have it that way. But for us, it's, it's backwards, and it takes a little bit more for us to get it put together. But so here we're looking at small trees, and we could go ahead and we could convert that over into the feminine form if we wanted to practice that. But let's just go on right now and just look at the good songs, and remember it's the hey pata, okay, has sharim, and then we have hatovim. So the good songs, and that's masculine form. We could make that a feminine form, okay? But right now, we just want to focus right now on adding together all of the things that we've learned in terms of making this, putting the definite article in there, putting the prefix we need for the definite article, so it's just not a good song, or it's not a good songs, but the good songs. Hasharim, shi, e. Remember ki, ha, shirim. Those two e sounds. So fast, hasharim, hatovim, and then the large stars are hakochavim, hagodalim. A little bit more to get. When you see these words, always look at first the root. Okay, look at the root, kochav. Look at the root, gadol. Kind of get you warmed up. Okay, then go. Okay, now I've got my root. Now I'm going to put my definite article on there. So now it's going to be ha-kochav. Okay, now that's the star. Now I'm going to add the plural. So I'm going to build on this. Ha-kokhavim. I'm going to break it down. Otherwise, you look at it and go ha-ha-ha. So, it's a little bit too much. So ha-kokhavim, ha-kokha. Once again, if you're not getting the deep guttural, hang on to just the CH sound. Ha-kokhavim, ha-godalim. Ha-kokhavim, ha-gadolim. So, and then you get to where it's ha-kokhavim, ha-godalim. And remember that if you have a definite article for your noun, you also put the definite article for your adjective. And you get to where you're going to say it a little faster. Ha-kokhavim, ha-godalim. Okay, now you're sounding like you're saying something rather than just breaking it all down into individual syllables. Obviously, to start off with, you're doing your transliteration. You're breaking it down into syllables. It sounds like ha-ko-ka-vim. Keep it that way until you can. And just try to get a little faster. Ha-ko-ka-vim, 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 ha-ko-ka-vim. And now we're a little bit, it's more like going to be natural, like when you're speaking English. Ha-ko-ka-vim. And start off ha-ga-do-lim. Remember? Consonant, vowel, ha-ga-do-lim. Keep it that way until you can go ha-ga-do-lim. And just work your way up. Don't try to do it fast. Otherwise, you look at a word and you don't even know where to start. Start with the first consonant vowel, ha-ga-do-lim. That's the most important thing. Ha-ga-do-lim. 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 Back to the feminine. So that's everything we're doing with, making the noun and the adjective in the same gender when we're pluralizing it. Now we're going to go susot, shakorot. And what we're going to do is susot, shakorot. Susot, shakorot. And by and large, all we did was consonant, vowel, and then we did consonant, vowel, consonant. Closed syllable or open? Okay, you should know that. Susot shakorot. Susot shakorot. Susot shakorot. Okay, so now let's go for good commandments. Mitz. Remember, we're going to stop the syllable with a schwa there. Mitzvot tovot. Mitzvot tovot. Break it down. Okay? Ha minorot hayafot. Ha pa. Ha pa. Ha pa. And it doesn't have it all there. And so that's just, I don't know what happened. We lost. Haprot. Haprot. Halavot. Halavanot, rather. That's what's supposed to be there. Okay, going up quickly. I'm running out of time. Then plural and singular, masculine, things that are irregular. Okay? So we're going to change spelling here. You're going to see we add a noon. You just have to memorize these for now. They are irregular in the forms of plural. So you go from ish to anishim, davar to davarim, to amim. Not a lot of differences there. Rosh to rashim. So you got rosh to rashim, yom to yamim. That's really different, right? You're seeing a lot of spelling changes there. Okay. Bayit to batim. Be careful that you can actually confuse that with other words, right? So, bayit to batim, bin to banim, another one that you could confuse with other words, bin to banim, av to avot. Well, that's a surprise, eh? Masculine to a feminine ending, that's tough. I mean, why'd they do that to us? Why couldn't we go av to avim, okay, instead of av to avot? These are ones that you just got to memorize. And then here you got Lila, which is masculine, but now we're not going to go Lilim. We're going to follow through on this one in Lalot. Well, can't we make up our mind what we're going to do? Why couldn't we keep Av to Avim and go Lila to Lalot? And then that would have made sense, okay, to some degree maybe. That's just the way it is. Memorize it. These are your irregulars. You don't have a lot of irregulars. Not that many words to memorize, eh? And then now let's look at some feminine nouns. Isha, which you've got that one. But now look at when you pluralize it. Oops, shouldn't this be ishot? Right? According to everything that we learned, this should be ishot. And what have we done? Nashim. Ouch. Kind of similar to the plural form of man, okay? Ish. To anashim, it's just that you drop the aleph. And it's just taking it up. Nashim. Anashim and nashim. Okay? Once again, memorize those. Bat, banot. And then shana. I don't know what happened to that one. These guys, these words are just dropping off on us. But you've got it there in your book to shanim. And shana, you'd think once again it should go to shanot, right? But it should not. Okay? Next slide. Quickly. Okay. These are the important rules. I really want you to memorize them. You should have them by now. The best way to memorize something is to do it. I tell this to people all the time about the Word of God. The best way to remember the Word of God is to do it. If you don't do the Word of God, it's living Word to be lived out. And if you don't do it, you're not going to get it. Okay? So remember these, but understand it's an exercise of it. Masculine nouns and adjectives generally, important word, form their plural by adding yod mem. And you could see herik yod mem to their singular form. So that's usually how it works. You see some exceptions. Then the plural form for both feminine nouns and adjectives, generally, it's the holam vav tav, the ot sound. The adjective always follows the noun and agrees with it in gender and number. You've got it. Once again, you should have that. We've gone through this exercise. You should have learned the examples, as we said, which we just went over, vocabulary A, B, and C. Note the use of the definite article before the words beginning with the ayin, aleph, resh. Remember, these consonants are always treated different. They do not take the definite article. And so then all of a sudden you have the hey gametz going from a hey gametz to a hey pata because it can't handle the dagesh. You're going to learn more about that as we go. Now, I don't want to do the exercises to start with because I'm running out of time. So we'll come back to the exercises with what time we have left. Right now, I want you to run all the way to the bottom of this, please, all the way to the very last slide. And I want to go over with you the memory verse, okay? And all of you guys giving those kids a hard time in class because they didn't get their memory verse down. Okay, now, it's come back to get you, okay? I don't know where the last part of this is, but somehow it did not get on this slide. So I apologize. But one of the most important things is look in your book and notice that the transliteration was done. And I want you, at where you're at in the beginning level of Hebrew, to recognize the importance of you continually doing your transliteration. So look in the book, look at the transliteration as it's laid out by the author. Remember this. There are a few things that he's doing in his transliteration rules that are different from what I taught you. Just do what I taught you so long as you can remember in your transliteration these sounds. And here we go. And ele, toldot, I'm going to go real slow. We're going to just get each consonant vowel. Ele, tol. Remember, there's a schwa, so that stops your syllable right there. Your syllable doesn't stop with a consonant vowel when you've got a schwa sitting out there in the middle of the word. It stops with the last consonant above the schwa. So it's tol, dot. So this particular word carries with it, as it were, a three, we could say in this particular way, a loosely consonant, which is clearly a consonant vowel consonant syllable, consonant vowel consonant syllable, instead of just a consonant vowel syllable. So ele, tol, dot, ha, sha, mayim, ve, ha, aretz, behi, bar, there's your schwa, bar, beyom, asot, Elohim, eretz, veshamayim. Okay? Now, one of the first things I want you to be able to do is I want you to learn how to parse out what you know about the words in terms of their root form. I could parse out the root form of this, Yod, Lamed, Dalet, but you don't know that yet, I don't think, and so I'm not going to get into that. But you can certainly parse out the fact that here's a hey, pata, and you know that hey pata is the definite article, and that the word here is shamayim, okay, for heavens. And then there's the ve the conjunction. Once again, the hey gametz in this case. You know that the root there is aretz or eretz, okay? There's the root, eretz. See that? Make sure that when you're going through these exercises, the very next thing that you do after you do the transliteration is you go through and you find the root, okay? And you can see in this one, it may not really stand out to you at first, but there's the root, bara. You already know that word. You got it over and over again. So what is all these prefixes and suffixes about? Exactly, okay? You've learned, I think, both of those prefixes now. And I believe, you've learned this form, or if you haven't, you're going to learn this form of the plural masculine right there. Most important function for you to start off with is find the root of it. There's bara, there's eretz, there's shemayim. You're going to learn yeled later on. Here's Asa. You've already learned that, which would be the ayin, sheen, hey. But you've lost the hey. How, why? Because now, we've got a new form of this, okay? The ut is on there, okay? And, of course, that is a verb. Some things going on there with that verb. But then we've got a word that you know, Elohim, Eretz, Veshamayim. Okay, so let's go a little bit faster with it, because this is what you really want to be able to do. Ele toldot hashamayim b'haaretz b'chi bara, excuse me, b'chi bara b'yom asot Elohim Eretz v'shamayim. So you keep working with that till you get it down. Ele toldot, I'm going to try to go a little slower. Ele toldot hashamayim v'haaretz b'chi bara b'yom asot Elohim Eretz v'shamayim. Now, the next thing is, what does this mean? And I just want to give this to you, just though it wasn't part of your exercise, because I want you to understand how comfortable you can become with this. These are the generations. See that plural form right there? These are the generations of the heavens and the earth in the creation of them. And I think, yeah, that's right. This is future. You're going to learn this ending of the third person plural, the creation of them. Okay? And Eretz is feminine. Shamayim is masculine. But it's going to take on, in this particular instance, the masculine form. Okay? Bayom, in the day they were made. So it's like, goes like, these are the generations of the heavens and the earth in the creating of them. You could almost put a period there. Okay? That's it. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth in the day, in the creating of them. Now, in the day they were made, in the day being made, rather, I'm sorry, in the day being made, and you could say by God, or in the day God made them. You could say that. In the day being made by God, earth and heaven. Now we don't have the definite article anymore, nor direct objects. So there's something being said to us in this verse of Scripture that you could only begin to pick up by linguistics. And so it's very important to me that I'm not going to tell you what is going on and all the issues here, but there is a message within the message. And so what I want you to be able to do for now is I want to get just a translation, just like you would see the translation within the framework of the King James or any other translation. But later on, we'll come back to this, and we'll probably really study this verse out in year 3 of Hebrew, and begin, because you'll have more ability to discern what's going on here. Why is all of a sudden we're talking about the generations, not generation, singular, but plural, generations of the heaven and the earth, and in the day that they were created, okay? And then all of a sudden we're talking about God having made earth and sky, or earth and heaven. So for now, just leave it. I'm just baiting you a little bit with that because I want you to understand the value, give you a little carrot, the value of learning more about Hebrew. Love all of you. See you next time. I know you haven't had any sleep, so I'm so sorry you had to come back. It's just like